Revelation 1361. From the 29th of March 1940. Aversion to spiritual food. Obstacle. Enormous obstacles are placed before the soul when man has an aversion to spiritual food. He piles up the bulwark higher and higher, which he is supposed to remove, and this shows itself in ever greater secularization, in active interest in everything earthly, while the soul is thought of only majorly. Such people spend by far the greater part of their lives in inactivity of the spirit, for they spend all their thinking only on what is tangible to them and cling to it with extreme tenacity, not considering that everything has an end with their departure from this world. They call the concern for the salvation of the soul useless and fruitless, or they adhere to the pseudo-faith and the pseudo-service and are convinced of their infallibility, so that they believe to need no teachings. And what could be offered to them for their souls, they let pass by unnoticed. This depresses the soul, and it numbs itself with self-chosen pleasures to which no spiritual value can be attributed. And so the hour of death will come, and with it the realization that they have rejected the greatest grace that the Lord has given to mankind. This realization is extremely bitter, because what happened can never be undone, and therefore also the soul cannot be provided with a degree of maturity afterwards, if the time on earth was not used as much as possible. The Lord leads every man into the proximity of the divine activity. Always the man himself is the deciding factor whether he takes advantage of this opportunity and thus matures spiritually, or takes no notice of it and thus remains spiritually on the same level. And if people would consider that they enter the hereafter unprepared, and then think of the many days that could have brought them spiritual progress if they had only been willing, they would now have to summon all their willpower to make use of all opportunities. For it is difficult to make up for what a person failed to do on earth, although in the hereafter, the soul is still given the opportunity to reach the heights. But it is never possible to reach that perfection in a short time which earthly life can bring to a willing person. Only he who strives continuously, that is, thinks about his soul first before he does something to his body, will be able to reach a very high level already on earth, which requires an unimaginably long time in the hereafter. For life on earth is a grace for man, it has been granted to him for the complete redemption of the soul, but it is not always used in such a way that man can enter the kingdom of light, which promises undreamed of delights, immediately after his death. What man did not want to hear on earth, he will have to accept in the hereafter if he does not want to remain inactive in the lowest level as an unfinished spirit and depend on the mercy of the light beings or the prayer of the people still living on earth. And this is the fate of those who reject what is offered to them from above and make no effort whatsoever to improve the state of their soul, for they are faced with an almost insurmountable task when the realization finally comes to them. Amen.